Hi everyone, Natasha Rosewood back, and here we are on Monday, March the 30th, and what we're going to talk today about is, are you feeling trapped? It's getting to that point. We've been staying home, and some families with children, maybe you're stuck with somebody you don't want to be with, or it's you're home alone. So I'm going to give you 10 tips today for how to escape in your mind so you can stay home and keep your sanity at the same time. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Natasha Rosewood. I'm a quantum healer, inspirer of intuitive intelligence, an intuitive coach, author, spirit medium, you name it. If it's got anything to do with energy and metaphysics, I do it. So you can also go to my website, natasharosewood.com, if you're feeling blue, and go to my newly installed funny page. I've been collecting jokes that friends and family have been sending me, and I'm sorry about the light. The sun's just come out and it's kind of blinding my glasses. And also these Facebook Lives, the text of them, I'm putting into some blogs on my website. So if you miss this or you prefer just to read something about it, please go to my blog and also podcast. And if you miss this on live, they are also being uploaded to YouTube, so you can go and find me there. And just if you need some support, reach out to me, Natasha at natasharosewood.com, or through my website, natasharosewood.com. So my new saying for the day is, fear is the virus, love and laughter is the antidote, because we are getting messages from some very beautiful sources telling us to stay out of fear. And the way to stay out of fear is to stay in the love frequency. So that means anything that feels good, kindness, gentleness, compassion, just staying up in that frequency and not allowing yourself to get sucked down into that CNN, what I call, type of fear. So what is the bigger picture of all of this? Before we get into the topic, what's really going on? Many of you know and can sense we're all getting that message that Mother Earth has been trying to tell us for a long time. You're doing it wrong. You need to change your path. Pay respect to Mother Earth, pay respect to yourself, and pay respect to other people. So this is the bigger picture, but also what is happening. We're going from a three-dimensional existence, which is very stuck in physical, dense reality. And as we all know, everything is made up of energy, but the denser the energy, the more physical it is. So that's the three-dimensional stuff that we've been living in for a long, long time. And in that three-dimensional reality, we've been very restricted. We've been very small thinking. We've been very narrow-minded. And out of that has come fear, ego, brutality, unkindness, bullying, all the negative, controlling, fear-filled thinking actions that we've taken. And now we're moving up into a five-dimensional reality, which is much lighter. We're shedding our physicality, our denseness, and we're rising up. We're raising our frequency into much more love, into much more lightness of being. So it's like going from dark to light, unhappy to happy. I almost want to say that heaven is coming to earth. So if you can hang on to that vision and decide what you want that to be, just focus on that instead of the fear. But as we're going through this and we're staying home alone, we're going to be feeling trapped or squirrely. We're going to have moments and days. I don't care how evolved you are. You're going to have those moments too. So these tips are really just to remind you of what you can do. So number one tip is, I don't know if you forgot what these are, but these are called books. And back in the old days, we used to actually read them. We used to hold them in our hands, open them up, and read the printed word. So as you all know, I'm sure I'm being facetious here, escaping into a good book is just the most wonderful form of escapism. And if you can't focus on reading, then write your own story. Because what I love about writing is when I'm in it and I'm creating the characters and the events, I'm the god or goddess of that story. I'm the writer, producer, and director. So get into speaking your stories. So I think we've got some people showing up. Hi, Michael. Great to see you. And, you know, take lessons from the story, because this event is part of your story. And we all have a story, and we all agree to do the story, whether you acknowledge this or not, before you came here. So this event is part of the agreement on why you said, pick me, I want to go to Earth at this time and live in these interesting times. So you may want to ask your question, why did I agree to do that? Maybe you're one of the light workers who've come here to help humanity transmute into this five-dimensional being or existence, or maybe you're just here to learn from it. Number two, escaping into sleep. And actually, somebody said to me last week, I said, how are you feeling? And he said, well, I just feel like curling up in a ball and going under the blankets and staying there. And we will have those moments, because if we think about it, we're all in a bit of a state of shock. This has never happened before on the planet, where everything's been shut down and we've all been sent to our rooms, basically. So sleeping is okay. And the other reason why sleeping is okay is because as we go from 3D to 5D, it's like having a power surge go through your body. And all of us need to recalibrate to this higher frequency. If you're willing to go with it and go in love and surrender to it, it's going to be a lot easier for you. If you're resisting it and you're saying, I don't want to do this, I've got to carry on my life as I was doing it, being busy, and I don't have time to meditate or do any of that stuff, that's going to be more challenging. So I recommend, if your body is feeling tired or exhausted, just go to bed and have a nap. On the converse side of that, if you're wanting to stay in bed for 5 days and never get up, that's not a good thing either, because you might be slip sliding into a depression. That's the first sign, is just wanting to go to bed and put the covers over your head and never see the world again. And you might be wanting to ask yourself, am I feeling hopeless? Do I think this is the end of the world? Do I think this is the end of my life? That's when you need to reach out and talk to somebody, express how you're feeling to somebody, and saying, I think I need a little bit of help to lift me up. Or just plug into some humor on TV, listen to some wonderful people on YouTube. Matt Kahn is somebody I would highly recommend. Deepak Chopra, anybody, myself, anybody that's speaking of the light. Because really, this is just temporary. It's months, not years. And so it's just a very short time, and soon it will be in our past. Number three is daydream. So I bet when you were at school, I know I did this a lot, and a teacher was talking and I was kind of zoning out, I was daydreaming. And years later, when I was studying metaphysics, I read that the average person daydreams about 30 times a day. I don't know if I probably did it that much, some of us may not, but when we daydream, we're in another place in our mind, we're in a new reality. And when we daydream, actually our consciousness is not in our physical body, it is in that other place. So if you're dreaming about lying on a beach somewhere, or being with your friends at a party, or being in an airplane and flying away from all of this, whatever your daydream, I'm going to suggest to you that you intentionally daydream, because that will put your consciousness in that better reality where you're having fun, maybe you're laughing, you're feeling good. Anytime you're not in the fear, and anytime you're out of the fear and into the higher frequency through daydreaming, that's a good thing. Focus on what you want to expand, not on what you don't want to expand. So focus on good times and daydream all you like right now. Number four is visualize. And there is a difference between visualizing and daydreaming. So there's a beautiful saying, and it's one of my books, the seed of the future are in the present. So whatever you're planting now in your mind right now is going to more than likely show up in your future. So the more you visualize, say coming out of this event, say we all come out of our homes, maybe it's the end of July, or maybe it's sooner, maybe it's the end of May. The more we visualize coming out and celebrating and having maybe had a big epiphany about who we really are, what we really want, what our real purpose in life is. Visualize that celebration or that feeling of yeah. And the more you visualize that, the more you're going to manifest it, because your thoughts are actually magnetic impulse. They're like little magnets. So if you have enough thoughts on one thing, you're going to magnetize that event or thing or person to you. Maybe you want to meet your soulmate at the end of this. Maybe you're sick and tired of being single or dating lots. Choose what you want to visualize and begin to make that your reality rather than this one. Number 5, and this has to do with visualization, but this is a great tool that you can actually get your kids to do, or your friends, but I'm not suggesting you congregate at all. If you're home alone with your family, the whole family can do this. And I couldn't think of a better bonding exercise for your family than doing a storyboard. So what a storyboard is, you can get either a big piece of paper or construction paper, nice pretty color. Use what you got in the house. Maybe it's a wall, if you don't mind painting the wall afterwards. And mum has her side, dad has his side, and all the siblings wherever they fit in. And find pictures of things that you want to create. It might be a nice takeout pizza, or it might be a boat ride or a holiday. You can cut words out of magazines. If you don't have the magazines or the words, maybe you can paint them, you can draw them, or you can build them out of Lego. Whatever you've got. Necessity is the mother of invention. So I think through all this process, we might find things in our home that we hadn't thought of before. And it's like, I knew I kept that for some reason. So create a storyboard together, and the storyboard represents what you want in your life. Maybe it's dollar signs, maybe it's love, maybe it's better health, maybe it's more loving relationships. And see what you all come up with. You might get surprises from each other and inspire each other. And that's the idea of this. It's like, let's get it all on the same page or the same wall, whatever that looks like. Number 6, write your own story so far. So like I said, I believe anyway, that before we came into physical being in this earth, before we were babies in our mother's wombs, while still in the spirit world, I believe that we got together with our spirit guides and angels and said, well, I was a bit of an idiot in the last life. I really need to work on right use of power, or, I had lots of money, but I didn't share it at all. I was very greedy, or maybe I was a bully. And so you designed this life story before you came here, so you could have the experience, be reminded of that, and learn the lessons to go with that. So what's your story been so far? Your movie script is embedded in your subconscious and your soul. But on the conscious level, when we come here, we forget. We go through a veil of forgetfulness. But every now and then there's an event that kind of sparks a memory. It's like, oh, you know what? This rings a bell for me. So right now, write your story so far. And what I suggest is you draw a line, and above the line are the good things that happen, the things that you celebrate, the things that you're proud of. Below the line could be things like when your dog died or your parents got divorced, things that gave you grief or sadness. And just looking at them, not as good or bad events, but just all events. And then finish off your script. Now you're at this point in your life. What do you want the outcome to be, the rest of your story? We're always choosing, so always be choosing what you want. A, B, C, always be choosing. Write that, make it up. Say, I want to be a film star, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to save the planet Earth, or create the vaccine. Whatever it is you feel, maybe you just want to live a nice quiet life out in the woods, not have anything to do with anybody, and that's okay too. Whatever it is your soul is speaking to you, write that movie so that when you're visualizing and storyboarding, you can really strengthen that image and that feeling of being victorious. Number 7, and again, this has to do with the last one. So when you write your story, you may have events that when you're not proud of your behavior, you did something, or somebody really bothered you and you didn't react in a very good way. So you're still feeling a bit bad about that. We're all carrying guilt of something that we think we did or we actually did. And this period of quarantine is really getting us to look at ourselves in the mirror. Really good look, but look with compassion and love. And I would highly recommend you writing down a forgiveness letter to yourself or doing a selfie and say, you know what, Fred, you were just having a bad day and you'd never gone through that before and you reacted out of fear. But you can either go back to that person that you hurt and say, I'm really sorry, I was being an idiot, or I was afraid, or I was hurt, whatever that was, and then I forgive myself also. We're all human. We're not meant to be perfect. Absolutely not. But if you've done this once or twice, you can forgive yourself and you can make it up to that person. If you keep doing it, if you've done it 10 times and you've got a pattern going on, maybe you do want to revisit your thinking and say, I'm not very proud of that. How can I change that? You can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created the problem. So you've got to change something. So maybe, for example, you think, oh, I'm cursed and I'm a victim and it just happens to me. Well, that's not going to fix anything. You've got to say, no, I can master this. I can get past this and move into a high frequency and be the better person. I can be the hero here if I choose to be. So be very compassionate with yourself as you look at your own behaviors, and especially being with your families at this time. They will definitely be a reflection for you, good or bad. So don't blame them if they're triggering you. Just if they do trigger you, remind yourself, their behavior is triggering something in me that I haven't accepted or started to love yet. So there's that old prayer that comes up, Ho'opono. I forgive you, I love you, I'm sorry, peace be with you. So just do that in your head and then go away and go to your room, literally, and think about, how can I change my behavior? How can I love myself more through this so that person or that thing doesn't trigger me? Great opportunity for forgiveness, and that's massively powerful, massively powerful. Number 8, I was talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she said, oh, poor so-and-so, she's on her own, her husband died 2 years ago. And I said, I think if that was me, I'd be reaching out to others, because there's a lot of people who are isolated, sitting alone in their apartments. Hopefully they have a pet, a cat or a dog, but if they have nobody and they're really cut off, why not reach out if you're on your own? Think of, 2 people a day. You could call, maybe 1 in the morning, 1 at night. That's going to make you feel good, because it's so lovely to hear the warmth of somebody else's voice and know that we're all going through the same thing. We're all feeling it. I had a thought, I don't know if I get arrested for mentioning this, but I had a thought, if you didn't know anybody, maybe you could call a care home and talk to a senior and who's stuck there with maybe no family, and just say, hey, I'm just reaching out to you. How are you doing? My name's Natasha, and how are you doing today? What's your day looking like? Just so you care. I think even if it's for a stranger, I think sometimes the kindness of strangers is the most special kind. So be a hero and, put yourself out there so that you don't have to feel as lonely, and be of service. Be of service. Number 9, I like this one. As many of you know, when people ask me, how did I become psychic? I often say, well, if my mother hadn't been psycho, I wouldn't be psychic. And God bless her, because if she hadn't been who she was, I wouldn't be who I am. And so, but as I grew up, she was very verbally and emotionally abusive, very much so. And it took me a long time to get rid of that nasty voice in my head. So I had very low self-esteem. And somebody suggested one time that I write a compliment journal. So I got myself a beautiful little book, and again, you can maybe make one up and draw flowers on the outside, just use what you've got in the house. And on every page, write down a compliment that people pay you or have paid you in the past. And when you're going through a bad time or you're doubting yourself or you're going, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever this is, or you're just in fear, just remind yourself of who you really are. And when I did that at the end of the day, just before I went to sleep, which is a great time to read it, I go, yeah, that I can feel the truth of that. That I am classy, or I am funny, or I do care about people. I do have a good heart. And just ask your friends and family, say, hey, what do you like about me? And then you go to your mirror and you say to your own reflection, this is what I love about you. Because in the end, you're going to decide who you are and what you love about yourself. And maybe there's something about you that you think is awful, but it's maybe the thing that other people love about you. For example, I can be very stubborn. I probably drove my mother crazy, but I see it as also as a strength, and I don't allow other people to push me around either. So, and I sense what's right and what's wrong. So, what do you love about yourself? So let's build up your vision, your highest vision of your highest self, and really so you can, as you go through these next few months, grow into that and be happy with it. Number 10 is meditate. And I'm sure you've all heard this, and I myself have been guilty of not meditating enough. And so meditation is a kind of surrendering. It's getting the ego mind out of the way. And the ego mind is the only level where you feel fear. So if you're meditating, you're out of the fear. And you're surrendering to the wisdom of your soul and the higher beings that come in to guide you. So if you meditate, what I'd like to suggest is if you don't know a meditation or if you're not comfortable, visualize sitting on a riverbank and all your experiences and all your worries, they're coming down the river in little boats. So maybe the coronavirus is kind of floating down and you're looking at it and you're going, okay, it's over there. What is that showing me about me? What do I need to learn from that? Or again, something in the past when your dog died or you did something and that event is in a little boat going down the river and you're going, okay, what was that meant to teach me? And then it's gone, right? And taking the gift from that and putting the gift by you like a golden nugget on the riverbank, and now you look down at the ground and you have this big pile of golden nuggets. And now you say, what am I going to do with those golden nuggets? And then you see these other things coming. You're not attached to any outcome. You're just observing and noticing what things float by you. So that's kind of a nice meditation, but otherwise you can just sit in a chair, take some nice deep breaths, get really centered into your body and just release, 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 and just let your mind go to where it wants to go and be thankful. So those are 10 tips for you how you can use your mind and a few little physical things like pen and paper, maybe, to stay sane. So I hope that helps you. So as you know, I always like to finish this broadcast with a prayer. And this time I want to do just a thank you to the universe. So I want to say, if you want to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath and say, thank you, universe, for giving us this time to be still. Thank you, universe, for giving this time to love ourselves more. Thank you, universe, for this opportunity to reflect and change what needs to be changed. Thank you, universe, for guiding, protecting, and keeping us all safe. Thank you, universe, for giving us the courage, wisdom, and strength to always do the right thing. Thank you, universe, to the caring, protecting, and supporting of all the medical staff and frontline workers, the heroes that they are, and keeping them safe and surrounding them with the white light of love as an added protective measure. Thank you, universe, to dissolving my fear and always guiding me to be my highest, best, and most loving self. Amen, so be it, and so it is. So I just have 3 little tips Now, these are physical tips from a doctor and a microbiologist that you may not be aware of. If you do, I'm sorry. Don't want to preach to the choir, but this ones I heard yesterday. So the coronavirus apparently is very sticky. You probably gathered that, and it can stick to hair and clothes, and it kind of tends to hang around in this area. So it's very important when we might be staying home, but if anything comes in from the outside, e.g. your groceries or your things from the pharmacy, or if you have gone shopping, is if possible to leave everything outside, either in the garage or on the deck, for about 24 hours. Obviously with frozen food, you have to bring it in, so that with gloves needs to be sanitized and then very clearly sanitized and then put in the freezer. But if possible, leave everything else outside, and then when you do bring it in, sanitize that as well, every little thing. One tip was to clean off the counter and take down the middle, the clean and the dirty side, and put everything that's coming from outside on the dirty side, and then once it's clean, put it on the clean side, and then put that away. And then either wash those gloves or throw them away. Another tip is to gargle with salt water, because it can hang around in the throat for a couple of days before going down into the lungs. So gargling with salt and water apparently can help once or twice a day. The other tip was to suck on zinc lozenges, which also actually melts the virus. So anything we can do to help each other, that's what we're doing. So thank you for listening. Know that these are on YouTube and going on to podcast. And I have, or I shouldn't say I have, my wonderful web assistant, Vanessa has loaded up the jokes on my website, natasharosewood.com. So if you need a laugh, you're feeling blue, go have a boo at all the jokes. And keep them please coming. On Wednesday, I'll give you the winner of the contest for the best joke, story, or advice. So in the meantime, namaste, God bless you all, stay safe and stay home. Thank you.